Hello, hello, hello.
Happy Monday, guys.
It is Monday. We're live on Monday this week, you
Yeah.
know. No sleepy taters today.
No, living large on Monday.
Living la vida loca.
hmm I don't know the words, but I know the way the song goes.
I don't actually know the words. I just know living la vida loca.
I
Am having the time of my life.
You just
And
start
I
off every
never felt
every
this way
podcast
before.
singing. I love it.
You got a problem with that?
I don't. I like
Good,
it.
Good. You better like it.
You better work, bitch. So,
Yeah, so what were you doing this weekend, Josh?
I was at SCG Indy with you, and you know that.
Yeah.
So the weekend was good. We had a good
Yeah.
time. We'll tell you guys all about it here in a few. But I did get to go see my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law. Though my brother-in-law was working this weekend, so I didn't have to get drunk with him, which is good.
That's good. You might not have had as good of a weekend if you were drunk. So
Yeah, I might not have, but I saved my liver a few extra days from shutting down. Future Josh is happy about that. But my sister-in-law and my wife got to come this weekend, which was cool. And so, but her liver was damaged in the process.
She was the sacrifice.
Yeah, she had to sacrifice her liver a little bit to go out with her sister, and have a good time. But they did do something really cool that I'm pretty jealous of.
Was it a pedal pub?
No pedal pub this time. They went to a Harry Potter drag show. Crickets. But yeah, they went to a Harry Potter drag show, and I never thought that those two things would would be smashed together.
Quite literally smashed.
Yes,
together.
Yeah, because things get smashed. I like that. That was a good pun. But yeah, so they had a lot of fun. I was a little jelly, but overall, great weekend. Indy's always a blast.
Oh yeah, great city.
Some of the Uber drivers there are pretty sketchy. Blowing stop signs. Yeah, we Uber to the because we stay at my sister-in-law's, and then we just park our car there, and then it's like a 5-minute Uber.
If there's actually like a $5 parking spot right by the convention center.
Yeah, but then you gotta walk, and then
it's not that bad.
I might burn calories.
A block or two.
Yeah,
that's what we did all weekend. I stayed with Brian Carey, Mitchell Castledini, and Jacob Hard. We had a good time. Just kind of hung out. We got Chinese food on the first day that was pretty good.
Ooh.
It was from it was called like Egg Roll King or something like that. Okay. But actually pretty solid if you're ever around there. Which you obviously will be.
Yeah, I mean I'm there every 3 months now. Yeah. So, but that was the thing that we didn't really get to do. We didn't get to go out and eat something fantabulous like we usually do.
Yeah, you probably just ate at your sister's, huh?
No, we didn't eat there. We just stopped off and got Pimenti Brothers, which Pimenti Brothers is.
See, good. I wanted to get Pimenti Brothers, but everyone else was like, "Let's go check somewhere else," and I'm like,
"Yeah,
all right."
I mean, sometimes the same old's good for me, and then we always stop at the Yard House.
Okay. You told me about. I forgot about that place. I remember you telling me about it the last time we were in Indy.
God,
I need to go there because that's Josh's number one recommendation. That and the meatball place.
Yeah, the meatball
are the two places Josh recommends.
Well, that's in Pittsburgh, and that place is called Siena Mercado.
Siena Mercado. That place was great.
Is so obscene.
I was so glad we went there.
Fresh meatballs on top of tater tots, covered in liquid cheese with an egg on top.
I did not get that because our waiter literally walked away when Josh told us the name of it. So
Dave's Balls.
Yeah, we said Dave's Balls, and our waiter literally left.
Dave's Breakfast Balls. I mean, that's a real thing. That's what they told us it was back in the day.
I believe you, but that waiter didn't.
Yep. But yeah, so we'll have to go check out some new stuff. But my brother got to come too, so he was really happy about that. He got a weekend away.
Yeah, Josiah came with you, right?
Josiah Valley was with us this weekend, so that was that's always a good time. He did well. He day two'd. I was pretty proud of him, and he played with humans.
Yeah. So we can probably pull up his list here in a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so your weekend was good?
Yeah.
My weekend was good? All right,
Awesome.
let's crush into the fun
let's
fact.
hop into it, right? Our fun fact this week is actually 7 fun facts.
7.
I couldn't remember if it was 6 or 7, to be honest. And it's all just a bunch of different creature types that only have one creature associated with that type. We have Brushwog on Brushwog, which is a 2 green, 1 colorless, 3/2 that whenever Brushwog blocks or becomes blocked, it gets -2/+2 until end of turn.
Holy shit. Don't read all these. These are awful.
I have to.
No.
I have to for our viewers that are listening.
Don't. It's so bad.
I especially have to read this one because I used to play this one in casual Magic.
Okay, just read this one and then don't read the rest. Just read their names. Whoa.
Giant Oyster, which is 2 blue and 2 colorless for an oyster. You may choose not to untap Giant Oyster during your untap step.
Oh, baby.
Tap. As long as Giant Oyster remains tapped, target creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step, and at the beginning of each of your draw steps, put a -1/-1 counter on that creature. When Giant Oyster leaves the battlefield or becomes untapped, remove all -1/-1 counters from the creature.
Wow, that's awful.
Card was sick in casual Magic.
All right, so then I'll read the rest then. All right, we got Mole, like mole. Then we got Ferret, which is cool. I like finding this card in bulk. It's cute. And then we've got Dreadnought.
Josh the poor sport and won't let me read all the cards inside.
No way. And we've got Wombat, which this thing's frothing at the mouth.
Shout out to you, Gavin.
Yeah, this rabid Wombat's crazy. And then Lamia, Lamia.
That sounds like a female singer's name, right?
Yeah, it's Thought Render Lamia, which is a weird one, and it was a card from what set?
That's Born of the Gods. Journey into Nyx.
Oh, Journey into Nyx. Okay.
They all look the same.
Yeah, they do. Cool. So there are 7 different creature types that were only used one time, and that was Brushwog, Dreadnought, Ferret, Mole, Oyster, Dreadnought, and Lamia.
Which one of these cards? Which creature type is the best in your opinion?
Dreadnought.
No. I don't mean card wise, but what's the coolest creature type here?
Coolest creature type?
I gotta go with Wombat.
Maybe I think you.
Wombats are cool.
But ferrets, can you imagine if they made a ferret type and they just went with it and it was
give it enough
really
time.
good?
They'll do it.
It'll
be a commander precon. They'll do it.
Ferrets versus wombats.
That'd be
coming to a precon near you. That'd be sweet.
Yeah. You know where you can probably find some ferrets or wombats.
Oh God.
momsbasementgames.tcgplayerpro.com.
If we have any one of these in stock, which okay, my guess is we probably have rabid wombat in stock. All right, go in there, click on it. All right.
For those of you listening and watching because you can't see, Josh is operating the keyboard right now while I operate the mouse. We ain't got no wombat.
Nope. Okay.
What about Dreadnought? Do you think we might have Dreadnought?
Phyrexian Dread.
That card might be too expensive for us to have a copy of it.
Well, how do you spell Dreadnought? That's a rough one. Dread. Nought. Got it. There we go.
This is the most exciting part for our listeners.
Oh, man. This is the best. Yep.
Man,
no Phyrexian Dreadnoughts.
There's no way we have any of these other ones, right?
Maybe Brushwag? Let's try Brushwag. That could be a sneaker because it's a rare.
Maybe.
Brush.
We normally put a lot of rares in, even if they're not.
Come on, baby, Brushwag. It's searching.
Hey!
We got a Brushwag in stock
for only 25 cents. You better hurry up and get it.
If you need
for your Brushwag tribal deck.
It can't be tribal because there's only
you can play the changelings.
Yeah, you can. All right.
Changelings are. At one point I'm gonna play a Cavern of Souls deck, and I'm gonna have my opponent dead. I'm gonna play a Cavern, and I'm gonna name Brushwag.
Brushwag.
And they're gonna be like, what?
And then you call the judge for an oracle.
Alrighty, but as we mentioned, we were in Indy, but we're not gonna get into ourselves quite yet. We're gonna get into the people who did good at this tournament. So Drake Sasser took it down with pretty typical gift storm. Will Polium, who beat me in the Swiss, took second place on Amulet Titan. Third and fourth, Michigan crushing it. We got Zach Allen, no surprise. He top 8'd this event.
Yeah, when I saw him this weekend, I said, "Hey man, I talk about you every week on the podcast."
I told him that too.
And he's just
I was like, "You're in the top 8 again, so I can talk about you again this week?" He's like, "I'm gonna try."
Yep.
He doesn't have to try. He just does.
Nah, he just shows up.
With he's been on and off this deck for a while. He's actually pretty proficient at it, Amulet Titan. And like we talked about, the Once Upon a Time lists are really starting to stick.
Yeah, I think the Once Upon a Time list is probably the most. I would have to say it's the most efficient list. And then in my opinion,
we got Brian Carey with Burn. Your baby.
Yep. Congratulations, Brian. My favorite. I think my favorite part of the weekend, or one of my favorite parts, was when Brian came up to me when he was going into top 8. He came out of his way to say, "We got two copies of Grim Lavamancer posted and in the top 8." So I was really happy about that because him and I don't talk about Burn a lot, but when we do talk about it, I always tell him, make sure you're playing more than one copy of Grim Lavamancer. If you're not, we're not friends. And so he's like, when he first started playing, he's like, "Oh God, all right, man, I'm gonna try. I'll play one, but I'm not making any promises." And now every time he sees me, that's our running joke. Like, he's like, "Man, I love it."
What's really funny is I really tried talking him off 2 Grim Lavamancers this weekend.
Absolutely, yeah.
I wanted him to play a Wear Tear in his sideboard. Because I don't like not having an answer to Leyline. But he killed someone through a Leyline, so apparently, like...
so that's the thing. I don't give a fuck about a Leyline. Because if it's kind of a coin flip, right? And you have 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get that game 1, and you're lucky enough...
Which if a deck's playing Leyline in its sideboard, you're probably going to beat it game 1.
Correct.
Because that means they're scared.
Yes, and so you're going to have 2 games to be like, okay, I need to open up with creatures here. Because you can, lightning bolt yourself, you can lava spike yourself, you can skewer yourself, and just get those prowess triggers in, and then stick an Eidolon. And they have to cast things to beat you.
Yeah.
So it's not that tough to fight through a Leyline.
Maybe we can get you to play this on stream for Brian one week. I know you've been talking about trying red-white for a while.
I'd like that.
We'll maybe get you to try it one more time. Hobbs in 5th place with Jund Death Shadow. This is actually who Brian beat in the top 8. Who Brian actually lost to in the Swiss. He was undefeated until the last round of day 1. And he lost to Hobbs in round 9. Hobbs was the... He was the player he was the only X1 going into round 14, so he got to concede to his opponent and then draw in the last round.
Wow. Draw in with a concession.
Yeah.
That's sick.
The only Urza player, Oliver Tomiko, who beat me in a backup feature match that unfortunately did not get on camera, but I found out that got talked about, which we'll get to why it got talked about in a little bit here. Yep. But, this deck... what a lot of people consider to be probably one of the best decks in the format. I feel it might be too powerful, but after reading on Twitter, a lot of pros are saying they actually aren't impressed with this deck. And even like Oliver told me while we're playing, he's like, I wish I would have read him and I faced in Syed on the same deck. And both of them told me they wish they would have registered any other Modern deck that weekend.
Okay.
So.
Yep.
And then 7th place is Selesnya Eldrazi, which this deck used to play the Karn package, if you remember, but now they're on Once Upon a Time instead, which I like a lot more. The Karn package just seems so random in this deck to me.
Wow, that looks really cool.
Yeah, I really like that. And then I've been telling everyone, don't give up on the graveyard decks,
don't sleep on Dredge.
Yeah, they're going to get you. Like, you don't respect this deck, you don't play any graveyard hate, and this deck's going to stomp. This should be a 4 of, in my opinion.
Playing 3 Merchant of the Veil on their main board. That's pretty cool.
I told people this is going to be like one of the best cards in this set at Common.
Yep.
But, yeah, it's a pretty traditional Dredge deck, other than they swapped out Faithless Looting and put in Merchants and added, like, an extra Dredger.
Yeah.
Because you don't have you have to have it in your hand at first with the effects like this. It's not like looting where you can just like have it immediately.
Cool.
So that
was the top 8.
We're gonna move down a little bit. This Devoted Devastation deck that got 9th was pretty cool. It was also on Once Upon a Time. We were seeing this deck playing the Stoneforge package. This person isn't. I really like the Stoneforge package in this deck, but maybe Once Upon a Time is just better.
Well, this just makes for a pure combo. This is you're sort of on the line of.
Well, there was a lot of ways the Stoneforge is actually comboed for you.
Correct, I know that, but
okay.
This kind of maybe thins it out a little bit. You don't have to have the equipment in there, right? So they're on the same plan that the Valakut deck is. They're just like, I have extra ways to find my Titan. Yeah, I need that. And so this is extra ways to find your quick combo piece. So we'll see how it goes.
But yeah, I think they're also on like Eldritch Evolutions.
Yeah, I think Once Upon a Time is just, man, it's going to be really good.
Yeah, and I can see like this being good in the deck. I could see maybe like instead of the evolutions and like postmortems, maybe playing like Stoneforge and then you play like 3 equipment.
Yeah, then
I think that might be like.
I think that's the variant
where I would go. But there's a lot of interesting ways to take this deck, and one of my friends recently put it together. He didn't have the Stoneforge just because he kind of wanted to like budget out for a little bit.
Well, this is the way to go on that budget plan.
Scrolling down through a little bit more, Josh and I were talking. There wasn't a bunch of super interesting decks. Esper Goryo's was really cool. I actually watched that guy play a little bit.
Yeah, I just heard about him on day 1, so that was neat.
Yeah, then we'll go check out the next day. I'm trying to keep an eye out for like other Michiganders too. I know Michigan was like flooded on the day too. Raja Solomon, he's been a big fan of this like 4-color Snow Healy deck with Stoneforge Mystic. He's been playing this deck a bunch. He doesn't come to Pando a lot because he's sponsored by RIW and a lot of those guys just like test together. Like him, Kyle Vagamis, Andrew Allen Bogan.
Yeah, they only come for tournaments usually.
Yeah. Well, he was actually here a couple FNMs when Stoneforge first got unbanned. Came in on like a FNM, came in on a Wednesday, really testing this deck, and he says he loves it. It's totally Raja style.
Yeah, that deck is really cool.
A super cool, grindy deck.
Yep. That was something that Josiah showed me on the way home last night. He was pretty impressed with that list.
Erin Barrich, I faced her in the Swiss. She was playing a really cool Naya burn list with, the Wild Nakatos were back in the deck. The Atarka's commands were back in the deck.
Throwback, baby.
Yeah, this deck was sweet. She flooded out pretty bad against me, which was kind of unfortunate, which, kind of something we talk about, the more colors you had to burn. It's kind of an issue. She had Tarmogoyf in her sideboard, which I thought was sweet.
Yeah, Cindervines.
So I want to try this list at some point. I don't think I'll get to it because I have regionals this weekend, and then depending on how I do, I might actually be booking a last-minute flight to Atlanta next weekend.
Okay.
Because I'm really trying to queue up for the Invitational.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Where was that? All right. Scrolling back through. Did Josiah prize you now?
He did. He took... All
right. So his list will be coming up then.
Yeah. I can't remember what place he took. Maybe he didn't. I think he was a couple away from you. You'll find him.
The Kethis combo deck. This was one I wanted to talk about.
Oh, Kethis combo?
Collins Mullen's got a deck tech on it, and it'll be able to explain it a lot better than I could. But basically, it's the standard deck just with a bunch of cooler cards in it from the modern format. So more ways to combo with like Mox Opal.
Can we read Kethis, the Hidden Hand? Because actually, I don't know what it does.
So it's an Abzan card from M20. It's a 3/4. And legendary spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. You can exile 2 legendary cards from your graveyard, and it basically then lets you cast legend cards from your graveyard.
Ah, okay, that's the Elf Advisor.
Yeah. So with like Mox Amber, Mox Opal, you can go infinite mana.
Okay.
What's the thing? You can use Sai to draw your deck.
Yeah, because it's legendary.
Jace. That's how you win the game, is by using Jace. Once you draw your whole deck.
Okay. That's really cool.
Yeah, no, this deck was really cool, and it seems really fun. I wish I was better at clicking. I'd stream it for sure, but...
Yeah, I see a lot of Okos in these sideboards that you're...
Oko was talked about as like probably one of the best cards from the new set, actually. Then I want to talk about this really cool Golgari Yawgmoth deck.
Okay.
So it basically is just like it's an Undying combo deck
Okay.
with Yawgmoth, because Undying is the creature gets a +1/+1 counter. So with 2 Undying creatures in play in Yawgmoth, you can keep offsetting them by sacking the other and putting the counter on the other one. So essentially you can do that as much life as you have.
Okay, so Yawgmoth Rand Physician is the new Modern Horizon card that is, that you pay the 1 life, sacrifice another creature, and put a -1/-1 counter on up to 1 target creature, and you get to draw a card. So that kind of gives you that engine to get going.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. And you get to play the baddest quarter pick in bulk of all times, Young Wolf.
Young Wolf
Boom.
is great. But yeah, so essentially your plan with this deck is if you eventually get a Blood Artist in play, you kill your opponent because you just keep sacking.
Mm-hmm.
And you can also do the same thing with Geralf's Messenger, because you'll pay a life, but your opponents will lose 2 life.
Yeah.
So you'll just eventually go infinite with that.
Yep, and the Kitchen Figs thing offsets it, and
Well, Kitchen Finks doesn't go infinite.
Oh.
Because it's a -1/-1.
Oh. But you get to register Acidic Slime. You get to register commander cards in Modern, and I always love that.
Shriek Maw, Thragtusk in the main,
Hell
4
yeah.
Wall of Roots.
Yep.
Yeah, no, this deck's really cool.
Excellent.
It was another one I wanted to pull up and talk about for that reason.
Yeah, so if you go down a little bit more, I think you'll find...
There he is.
Yeah, Josiah took...
74th, Josiah Valley.
And so he played humans this weekend, and
3 Charming Prince.
yeah, he said so that was the thing that I wanted to talk about on his list. He said that though he liked Charming Prince and it's a meta call,
he trimmed a Phantasmal Image with it.
Yeah, he actually didn't like the fact that Charming Prince is not Bob. He found himself flooding out a lot this weekend, and the Horizon Canopies and the 4 Horizon Canopies and the 1 Waterlog just really didn't get him over that hump. So if he's gonna flood out, he would rather have Bob in there.
Well, these decks haven't played Bob in a long time.
No, they have not. But he feels that was the thing that he was missing all weekend, and he's pretty proficient at this deck. So he said that out of the sideboard, he feels like if he's gonna have a tough matchup against Burn, he can get him out of the sideboard. So he feels pretty confident. Also, the gentleman that I lost to, one of my 2 losses, going into on day 1 was humans, and he topped 6. I think he took like 14th place or something like that. He was running 18 lands. So Josiah said, I want to cut me some 18. I want to go down to 18 lands. He said the guy was nuts, but he loves it.
That's great.
Yeah, so Noah Miller, that's who it is right there. He took 14th place.
Okay.
So
there was one other Michigan player that we wanted to talk about, or I wanted to talk about at least. That's not the list. I think I just scrolled up a little bit too far. Where did it go? It was Anthony Nazaro. There it is. 19.
Number 19, Anthony Nazaro. Congratulations, Anthony.
So yeah,
he was the highest placed Michigan player, other than Bogamus and
you mean Zach? There was Zach and Brian.
Yep.
And I think Kyle Boggs took 12th.
And Boggs, yeah. So he was
Azoria Stoneblade, which he wrote an article about this deck. If you check out his Twitter, he talked all about it in his article. Kyle's a really good player.
Well, those non RIW grinders. I guess he placed the highest, so I was pretty proud of him for that.
Yeah. But yeah, so the interesting thing about his deck was he was playing Jund, but Anthony actually hates the card Scavenging Ooze, which is really interesting to me. And he played 2 Bone Crusher Giants instead.
Yes, that card is sweet.
It actually got him mentioned in Patrick Chapin wrote an article today about like how Throne of Eldraine is impacting Modern, and he actually pulled up Nazaro's list and talked about it in his article.
Okay. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that was really cool, I thought.
Getting a shout out.
Yeah. So yeah, he's playing a pretty interesting Jund list, 2 Bone Crusher Giants, which you can Bloodbraid Elf into, because it's basically like an alternate casting cost, kind of like Spectacle is the best example I can think of. He played 2 Goblin Rabble Masters also because Nazaro said he really likes to get people dead. And then he had Ashiok as his graveyard hate, which is pretty common because it's also Scape Shift hate.
Ooh, baby, I played against Ashiok Dream Render this weekend, and that thing is the real fucking deal, man.
The card's really good.
God, I love that card.
But that's about it for the Open. So we're gonna head over to the Modern Classic now.
Classic, it's so classic.
Azorius Control took first place. Pretty common blue-white control list, you know. Nothing. Ooh, never mind. Okay, so this is really cool, actually.
You're like, it's just your regular. Oh, there's Terminus.
So because of this new card, Mystic Sanctuary, the Miracles archetype has actually been coming back, even in Legacy, because it lets you reset your Terminus or your Enter the Infinites.
Hieroglyphic Illumination, baby. Hell yeah.
Yeah, because they want instant speed draw.
Yeah. You can draw Terminus on other people's turns. Sick.
He has 4 opt, though, so he admits opts better.
Yeah.
But yeah, so entreats the win con again, and Terminus is back. That's pretty cool. Yeah. I don't know if this is going to be how it sticks. It really depends if Terminus is good in the modern metagame. But it's cool to be able to see as a take.
Yeah, absolutely. That's hot take, right?
It's a lukewarm take.
Lukewarm
take?
A
lot of people were talking about it.
Cool.
Amulet Titan took second. You know, we've seen that a lot. Urza Outcome in third and fourth. Dredge in fifth. Urza Outcome in sixth. Jund 7th, which I think, this is a little more stock than Nazaro's list.
Yeah. Other than the kitchen fix in the main, that's a little different.
That's a meta call thing.
Yeah.
Depends on how much burn you expect. I've seen it before. And then Dredge again in 8th. And then just some more amulets and Jund. And Is It Kiki deck? A burn list, which I think is just stock burn. Yeah. Just, traditional burn. 2 Hushbringer in the sideboard, though. That's cool.
Yeah, I've been seeing that pop up in burn, Hushbringer a little bit.
They were playing, before this one came out, I seen lists playing Tecatli Honor Guard, which is the same thing, except it's a little worse of a creature.
Yeah.
It's a 1/3, but it doesn't have flying or lifelink.
Yeah,
so.
It just doesn't allow creatures to enter the battlefield triggers to happen, so it's pretty neat if you think that's going to be a problem for you.
Mm-hmm. Abzan Company, Jund Death Shadow by Brandon Dalloway, who's also from Michigan. He's a pretty well-known Green-Black X player at this point. Just pretty old throwback to the old Jund Death Shadow lists.
Nice.
Another Urza Outcome and Eldrazi for the top 16. And then Standard, we're not going to spend a lot of time on because Standard is screwed right now. You'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Golos lists in the top 8.
Yeah, so it's a Golos. It's coming up on winter, so we could call it Golos winter.
Yeah, it's Golos fall.
Golos fall. Yeah, so if you're not playing Golos in Standard, remember, go out and get your Golos deck because you're doing it absolutely incorrect.
Or don't, because there's no major Standard tournaments until the BNR.
Okay, yeah, so don't.
Yeah. And then, as I mentioned, this weekend is SCG Regionals. I will be going to the Columbus one, as that's the closest one to us Michiganders. But there's plenty of options for you if you're on the East Coast at least.
Yeah, it looks like there's a lot of East Coast options.
Little Texas option.
Yeah, you got Philly and shit. Can you think about it? Like if you got all the monies and you're just like, man, I want to play Magic this weekend. I'm gonna buy a ticket to Florida. You can go play in Florida if you want, and get in that warm weather. It's because it's freezing already here in Michigan, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's already cold as titties out. But yeah, I may go to Columbus this weekend if I'm able to.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure what I got going on, but I gotta check and see. But I know I would really like to jam some Magic if possible.
Yeah, you'll have to let me know. Might hitch a ride with you. Maybe we can pick up Josiah.
Yeah.
I know he likes playing the Magicals, so.
Never know.
And then for the Wizards side of things, we have the Mythic Championship 5, which is going to be an arena tournament. And it's going to be in Long Beach.
Long Beach. LBC, motherfucker.
And the $750,000 prize pool for that tournament, which is always cool. Because, they're trying to push arena, which I respect.
Yeah, arena's the future, baby. Arena is the future.
I don't know...
Who
AKA the Skipper.
The Skipper's got a question.
I don't know if you touched on it before I got here, but Josh what turned you away from Burn this past weekend?
Oh.
That's actually a good transition into our main topic.
Oh, hey, Jake. Yeah, Jake Noel. Yeah, so...
Oh, okay. What up, Jake?
That'll help us transition. So, the reason I didn't play Burn this weekend is pretty interesting. In my choice in not playing Burn is it's kind of a weird one, but I think people can respect it. So, I don't get to play Magic that often, right? I get to play sometimes at our local LGS, Pandemonium Games and Hobbies in Garden City, Michigan. I get to do that on Wednesday, and even I get to play Legacy sometimes on Thursday if I go try to help support the community to grow our Legacy base. So I don't get to. I'm not really in depth in the Modern. I play more Legacy because I play it every week online. So the reason I didn't play, because I've been playing Burn for maybe 4 years now.
Yeah, I think you said you picked it up right around the RTR time, right?
Yeah. And so I didn't play it this weekend because I didn't feel comfortable about my list. I play a non-traditional Jund list that plays Atarka's commands and bumping the knights in the main. And I just found myself going to 14 too fast. And with even the mirror, they have the life gain, and it's not a very good mirror match, right? And so I knew I was going to see a lot of Burn. So I thought to myself, well, let me try to change my list up. And I tested last week, and I tested my list in preparation going into the weekend. I just didn't feel comfortable.
You were playing a red-black list, right?
Yeah, I was playing a Rakdos list.
Sovereign's Bite, I think it was?
Yeah, I was testing out Sovereign's Bite, and that card is it's 1 black and a colorless, and it just says your opponent loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. That's it, right? And so I didn't really feel that comfortable with the list yet. I didn't know what the sideboard needed to be because I am not, I don't get to play that much Modern. And so I wanted to pick up a deck that I had played a few months ago that I thought was, that I was going to have fun with. Not just because I thought it was well positioned and I was going to do well. I just wanted to play a deck that I was going to have fun with.
You wanted to get people.
Yeah, and I wasn't trying to be a troll, right? I just wanted to have fun this weekend.
I thought for sure you'd get a feature match when you started out like 4-0.
Yeah, and
you were 4-0, and then you picked up your loss in the 5th round, right? If I remember right.
I'd have to look.
It was something like that.
Yeah, but yeah, I started out crushing it. But yeah, I wanted to have fun this weekend, and I did that, and that was something that Josiah and I talked about, and my brother and I talked about going into the weekend. Is when you're playing Magic and you're having fun in Magic, and you're not there to grind this new deck that you've been testing for 4 years, and you feel like you're the best, and nobody can beat you because why did I lose that match? I should have won. I'm a better player. I don't want to have that mindset playing Magic anymore. I don't want to feel like I'm the better player. I'm my list is better. I wanna enjoy myself. I wanna have fun, and I got to play a list that I had a lot of fun with. I got to oink at people this weekend.
Yeah, let's pull it up.
So I played Boreos Vengeance, and Boreos Vengeance is I've actually put up a few videos online, and I kind of feel bad about those videos online now after this weekend because I figured out how to play the deck. So,
as much as I want you to stream Brian's Burn, that might have to wait till next week.
Yeah.
I think you need to stream this week.
Yeah, so I actually, I didn't really understand fully how the deck worked before when I was playing it. And so those videos are kind of be null and void on our YouTube, right? Because it's just me getting dumpstered on. I'm not even sure I went positive in a league with this thing.
I don't think you did, if I'm going to be honest.
I think the best I ever did with this thing was 2. No, I did. We started out 3-0. Josiah helped me run this.
That's right. You did a league with Josiah.
So I 3-2'd with this list a while ago when Faithless Looting was still in. So Boreos Vengeance, it has 3 Generator Servants, which is a card that was a complete all-star all weekend. And you sacrifice Generator Servant, you add 2 mana to your mana pool. And if you use it, if you spend that mana on a creature, it gains haste until end of turn. So, Mr. Pigpants himself, Ilharg the Razor Boar, if you push that thing out on turn 3, if you go turn 1, a lot of times I was turn 1 playing a tapped land, or turn 1 I would cast the Merchant of the Veil, which is the new Faithless Looting. It's that one haggle adventure instant card where it says discard a card, draw a card.
And you said this card was absolutely great.
Yeah, it's probably, I'd have to say it's one of the better cards in the deck. I think it's right there with Generator Servant in at power level. Like it's better. It's a higher power level, of course, but people don't really know how to play against this card yet. They'll have to find out that, hey, I got to counter this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I'm going turn 1, discard Ilharg into my graveyard, draw a card. Turn 2, either Collective Brutality to check to see what's in your hand,
Mm-hmm.
whether I grab your Path to Exile or whether I grab your counter spell and get rid of it to lead the way into Goryo's Vengeancing back my Ilharg the Razorboar. Those are the things that make the deck powerful on turn 2, and then you also have Cathartic Reunion, which is also ignorant. So let's say that you didn't even Merchant of the Veil on turn 1. You just played tapped Blood Crypt Pass. And then you untap and then you Cathartic Reunion and you dump Ilharg or Grizzlebrand into your graveyard. And, turn 3, you draw, you're able to cycle along with the London Mulligan. There was a lot of times where I'm just like, go to 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I've seen you win on a lot of 5s.
I won on a 4.
That's so dumb.
And I will tell that story in just a minute once I get through this deck. But the deck is super, you can mulligan to 5, and still have a consistent way to get your combo because you have so many ways to get your big creatures into the graveyard. So Ilharg is a pig, right? And he's a sweet little pig. He's a 6/6 trample for 5. And
decent rate.
Oh man, I mean 6/6 trample for 5 by itself is beautiful.
What would they have done for that back in the day?
Oh my god. So when you move to attacks, you trigger Ilharg and it says put a creature from your hand into play tapped and attacking. So this guy, you either put in Grizzlebrand, which amazingly is the worst creature in the deck to put in at that time because you have Emrakul in the deck.
One of these kills the other one.
Emrakul the Aeon's Torn is a 15/15, as you know, that has Annihilator. And now, the thing about this that I even had, when I moved to attacks with Ilharg and I squirted in Emrakul, people, I'd say about 50% at least of my opponents would ask me, do I sacrifice the permanents now? And I actually had one guy try to pick up 6 permanents.
I was going to say, they don't sacrifice it, right?
Correct. So when Emrakul comes in off of Ilharg, you do not sacrifice those permanents. Your opponent does not because it comes in tapped and attacking, so there's no trigger there.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is 21 damage. So a lot of times, because Ilharg has trample...
What's someone's starting life total in Magic the Gathering?
Yeah, right? It's 20. So it's 21 damage, and you really have these...
It's the best 2-mana burn spell ever.
Yeah, it is. And a lot of times you just have these turn 3s. I mean, turn 2s happen a decent amount too because you have Simian Spirit Guide. And
the fair and balanced Magic the Gathering card.
Yeah, and a lot of times too, the most surprising card for me this weekend, and after playing day 1, I said, I think I want to cut Gemstone Cavern. This card it gives me trouble sometimes because when you draw it and you're on the play,
or it's not in your opener.
Yeah, or it's not your opener and you draw into it. It's just a colorless land. But Gemstone Cavern says, if this card is in your hand and you are not on the play, you may exile a card from your hand and put this card onto the battlefield for pregame effects. So this card actually helped me in day 2 to turn 2 someone. Which is really, really nutty because you're pitching a card too, right? Mm-hmm. So it makes for unfair Magic, and I had a lot of fun playing unfair Magic, and I'm not used to that. So the weekend, just Magic itself, I was turn 2ing and turn 3ing people, and if I had to fight through some counter spells or some Path to Exiles, I was still hitting that turn 4 or 5.
Nice.
But Ilharg, going back to Ilharg, one of the biggest punts that I made was it wasn't a punt, right? On my part, I'm just new to the deck. So, Ilharg says, his first text says, or his second portion of text, says whenever he dies or is put into exile from the battlefield,
this is a different story.
You may put it into its owner's library third from the top. So, on day 2, almost all the time, I was just like, well, I don't want Ilharg to get exiled, by Path. I want to put that bitch third from the top and draw it again, right? Well, people were killing it, and I was still on autopilot thinking, oh, well, I want to put this thing third from the top because that's just what you do, because it's good value. Well, if you leave him, if you allow him to go to the graveyard, you may top deck a Goryo's Vengeance later on, and then have an out to win again. So this is a may ability. It says whenever he dies or goes into exile, you may put it into its owner's library. So I was never thinking about it. I was just like, oh yeah, you just got to put it there. Well, day 2, I started out 2-0. My round 3, this happened to me. He died, or excuse me. Then I lost a round to Valakut. Didn't draw well. And then I played against Death Shadow, and they terminated it. And so I was like, shit. I was like, I guess I'm going to put him third from the top. And then I was dead next turn because he was like, play a second Death Shadow. And he flashed in Snapcaster, and he's like, pass the turn. And I'm like, okay. I don't know what I can draw here. I think I need to draw 2 cards to get out of this game. I top deck a Goryo's Vengeance. And I was like, and I had Emrakul in hand, and I was like, holy fucking shit. If I would have left Ilharg, if I would have allowed it to be terminated and put it in my graveyard, I would have fucking got there. So I would have been, I would have won the match. That was game 3.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I just felt like, oh my god. And it was like one of those things where I didn't punt because I mean, it was a punt, right? But it was one of those things where you're not really privy to all the things in the deck that you need to do because you just don't have that knowledge. So there was some really cool stuff this weekend. I guess I want to talk about my sideboard too.
All right.
So for those of you that maybe think this deck is cool, I had so many people come up. I had like fanboys this weekend.
Yeah, it was really cool.
That were coming up to me. They're like, "Oh my god, I can't believe," because I took 23rd overall. So that's pretty solid at an SCG, and I didn't expect, like I said, didn't expect it all. Still pretty surreal that I did that well.
Jake said that's punishment for actually reading your cards.
Right? Oh god. Thanks, Jake. I appreciate that. But 23rd was really cool. Again, I've never even topped that high at a SCG event. Usually, I'm just getting dumpstered on, right? Because I'm the burn player in the room, and burn up to this point hasn't been amazing, but it's always been pretty consistent. But I just So, anyways, I got to combo. So the sideboard. Let's go to the sideboard. We got 4 Chalice of the Void, which this card is nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Completely fucking nuts.
Oh yeah.
You just put Chalice on 0 and then you just go to work. Or if you feel like you're gonna maybe see Path to Exile or Surgical Extraction, which I saw none of, or Grafdigger's Cage, or
people aren't respecting the graveyards.
No,
and that's like that's also part of the thing that I think led towards you doing so well this weekend.
Correct. Yeah. So because I wasn't super proficient in this deck yet, I was able to. I mean, I learned. I think by day 2, man, I got pretty proficient at this deck. I was really proud of myself because I was able to see all these lines.
Mm-hmm.
Because like Collective Brutality allows you to see a lot of the things in people's hands, and so you're looking at your hand and you're like, oh shit, well I could do this, this, and this. And you're gaining all this knowledge, and you're seeing all these different lines. So by day 2, I was just like, this is cool.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Chalice was the best card in my sideboard. If I just was able to register 4 cards, it would be Chalice.
Makes a lot of sense.
Defense Grid was also another card that I thought that Artie, Sarah, the gentleman that does pretty well in our area, he turned me on to last week. He said, I told him, I said, I'm having an issue against playing against counter spells, and I really need something to stop it because the new pact, not the pact, but the new force and
Force
negation,
negation.
can really slow me down. And so he's like, well, why don't you just play defense grid, and then they have to pay 3 for it. They don't force it for free. So this was the option that I went with, and I didn't play against too many counter spells, but this did really matter on day 1, and so I was really happy about this. So I would say this card does stay in the sideboard.
Okay.
Next up is engineered explosives. I don't think I brought this card in enough.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I needed to bring this card in a lot more.
It's a very versatile card.
Yes, it's very good. My matchup against Thopter Sword,
Yeah.
I have to have this card.
Mm-hmm. Did you not bring it in?
I didn't bring it in against the one game. I got 2-0'd by Thopter on day 2.
Mm-hmm.
And this was one of the cards. I just brought my shenanigans in. But I needed to bring this card in. I needed to answer humans. Humans is a really tough matchup for this deck, and those are my 2 losses on day 1. My only 2 losses, and so I felt like I just need to see. I even brought it in against my second humans player, and I still lost. So it's pretty
Humans
rough.
is a rough matchup for combo decks. So.
Yeah, it is. And so the next card is Quicksilver Amulet. So I did bring this card in. I like this card a lot. This is the spice. This is probably something that people were like, "Wow, can't believe you did well and you had this shit card in there, right?" Because this is a commander card.
Mm-hmm.
But this is actually the card I'm gonna cut. So I need to open up a few more slots because I took notes throughout the whole weekend because I want to get better at the deck, and I didn't care how well I did. I just wanted to get better because I fucking love this deck.
Yeah. I'm so glad I got you to actually try this deck out.
Yeah. And you're the one who said, "Hey, if you like the boar in Legacy, fucking try the modern version." And I'm just like, hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about it on the podcast about the guy, day 2ing with a similar list like months ago.
Yeah.
And so I hope that guy's proud of me because I played his list.
I'm sure he's a proud dad.
Yeah, proud son.
I wonder if there's anyone else that's ever topped with this deck. Oh, never mind. That didn't do what I thought it would.
Yeah, and so
I thought clicking on the deck name would pull up everybody that's done well with the deck.
No. So Quicksilver Amulet needs to come out. It opens up another slot for... the card's cool. The card's pretty good. It has practical applications for some matchups, but it's one step too slow.
Yeah.
So I need a
I was kind of worried about that with
Yeah.
this card.
And I found my humans matchup is so bad. So what I need to do is I need to put a 1 of Lightning Axe back in. I had that originally in the list because I used to have to play against titties. And so they would just, flip their
Thing in the ice.
Their thing in the ice, and then they would just return your creatures when you were in combat, right? So.
What about a Bantu's Last Reckoning?
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it goes with my plan. I still have time to test, right?
I think some board wipes would be pretty good in the sideboard.
Yeah. I may go up. I may even in that slot just play 2 Anger the Gods.
Yeah, Anger would actually be really good.
Going into the weekend.
It's a little bit of graveyard hate for Dredge too.
Yeah, the engineered explosives were Angers, but I didn't like the way the card was going for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I may be incorrect on that. And so the next card in the sideboard is Blood Moon. Blood Moon is, again, another card. If they said, "Hey, you only got a couple slots, you got 2 slots, what are you going to register?" I'm going to say Chalice and Blood Moon. Because
they're get 'em cards.
Yes, these are the get 'em. I can also, let's say I'm on the draw. Well, if I have a Gemstone Cavern and I got a Spirit Guide and I got a Blood Moon, you might be dying. Mm-hmm. I don't give a fuck what else is in my hand. I'm keeping that hand, right? I'm gonna go on my turn 1. I'm gonna go Blood Moon and I'm gonna see where this goes because I didn't get the chance to do that. But that's the same thing for Chalice of the Void. If you're on the draw and you're like, "Oh well, I got a Simian Spirit Guide," Chalice on 1, it's very, very impactful on the rest of the game state.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're playing against Living End, day 2 I chaliced on 0, and he blew it up. He ingot chewered, blew it up, and I went Chalice on 0, and he was like, "Fuck, I can't beat that." So Chalice was the all-star for the weekend. And also the next one that we have in here is Shenanigans.
Now that's just shenanigans.
That's just shenanigans. This card was a absolute fucking house this weekend, but I never drew it.
Yeah.
It was a house in my mind. So there was
I think this card's really good for your deck.
Yeah, I need a third copy somehow, but I don't think I'm going to be able to squeeze it in.
I kind of like 2. But...
well, when you see Ensnaring Bridge, you dead.
You have explosives too.
You do. So in those matchups where I'm going to see those, I got to bring both of those copies in, because the other thing too is the way that I get engineered explosives on 3 is I have to draw a Pentide Prism, right? If I don't draw a Pentide Prism, I'm not going to be able to kill a bridge. Mm-hmm. So that engineered explosives is a little dependent on my draw.
Yeah.
So it's while it's still good in that matchup, in the Thopter Sword matchup, it still can be dependent on the bridge. So maybe going forward, if the defense grids aren't exactly what I need, I may cut the defense grids. That's the other possible cut. Mm-hmm. And then I put in another Shenanigans and 2 board wipes or something like that. And then I cut the Quicksilver Amulets. So we'll see. But yeah. I mean, the list performed beautifully. I'm really proud of my 23rd. And, I had to, for the first time ever, I had to give my tax information to SCG.
They got it now.
They do.
They got you.
They're like, we need that SOCH. And I was like, wow, that's cool. I get my buy-in back. Because, like,
I remember,
you don't get any money for top, like, 32. I think you get, like, $50 or $100
You get $100 for top 32.
Yeah, so.
Or for top 64. For top 32, you get 200.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Get an extra $150. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
For those grinders out there, man, I don't know how you pay for your hotel room. Lucky I get to stay at my brother-in-law's.
They do better than us.
Yeah.
And they have people that pay for them.
That's right. They always grinding. But, okay, so enough about me, Richard. You took 71st. I'm also very proud of you. I think you played well this weekend. You started out really well.
Yeah.
Day 2, sometimes day 2, it's not always the best, but sometimes you crush on day 2 also. But tell us how you did.
Yeah, so this tournament started out really well for me. I registered Mono Red Prowess. The reasoning I registered this deck, and it's actually kind of funny. I registered like the Burnish deck, and you registered like
the combo. The combo deck.
So I registered this deck. It's what I've been playing a lot recently. I have not been happy with Tron's position in Modern for a little bit. Maybe that's incorrect because it has been doing well.
It has been doing well.
But I haven't been happy, and I played this deck a little bit before when Hogak was legal. Mm-hmm. Everybody just assumed it was the Phoenix version I played, but I actually never played Phoenix on my list.
Okay.
I played maybe 5 or so cards off from what I played this weekend, actually.
Yeah, during Hogak winter.
Yeah.
Summer.
I've just, changed the sideboard out a bit because you don't need as much graveyard hate and things like that.
Yep.
The reason why I chose to register this deck, as opposed to registering something like traditional Burn or, something I'm more known for like Tron, or I've registered like Jeskai Sahili and things like that before, is I wanted to register the deck that I thought had the best chance to kill my opponent as fast as possible, which I think is this deck.
And you just had some success 5-0ing with this thing on our
I had a 5-0 with this deck. I've prized the past 3 weeks at our locals with it.
Yeah.
And I felt really comfortable with it, and so I played it. I started the weekend out 4-0, and then I faced Will Polium, who ended up getting second at the tournament, and he beat me in a really close game 3 where if I drew any burn spell off the top of my deck, I killed him.
Okay.
And then I didn't pick up my next loss until the last round of day 2, or day 1. I picked up my next loss to Sam Black because turns out this deck's never beating Pulse of Marasa, Snapcaster Pulse of Marasa.
Lightning Helix, Snapcaster Lightning Helix. For those of you that don't know what Pulse of Marasa is.
My opponent gained 12 and picked up 2 land drops. Mm-hmm. So, and then I ended up going to a game 3 against him. Kept a risky 1-lander that didn't quite work out for me. And then going into day 2, started off winning my first round in day 2, was feeling pretty good. Then I got put in the backup feature match against Oliver Tomiko. I knew what he was on. He knew what I was on. We have actually talked on and off Tomiko's a really good guy. He top 8 of the tournament. Good on him. And yeah, so game 1 I beat him. He was on the Urza or the Paradoxical Ascendancy Emery deck.
Okay.
And in games 2 and 3, both games he went turn 1 Emery, I would kill it, and he would go turn 2 Emery Oko.
Okay.
That was his turn 1 and 2, both sideboarded games. Oko, moving forward, if Oko is going to see a lot of play, this deck is not a great option.
Okay.
This deck cannot beat an Oko.
Just one Oko.
Yes.
Okay.
It gets too much loyalty. I could have beaten it. I was close to beating it game 3, but he had the construct, and it was like a 7/7. And he milled over 1 Galv Blast. I knew he only had 2. And so I took the 7 because I had like 4 creatures in play and was going to try to kill him through it.
I remember you telling me
and
this.
He had the other Galv Blast.
Yeah.
But Oko single-handedly beat me game 2 just by like... if I can ever try to kill Oko, I can try to kill him.
Yeah.
But you got to fight through the 3/3s. You got to fight through him gaining 3 life every turn.
Okay.
And that card is just insane against this deck because traditional burn has more spells to try to, deal with the 3/3s, get a little bit more reach. It has ways to stop life gain. This deck doesn't really have that, and I don't really think you want that because it's going to be pretty awkward skull cracking them cracking a food token.
Yeah, and like, you're cutting down on your creature base, and you really need those prowess creatures to get in there and do that extra work because sometimes they're doing more than 3 damage, the traditional skull crack spell.
The creatures are the bread and butter of this deck, which we'll get into the deck a minute after I finish talking about my weekend. So after that, I faced Valakut, beat Valakut. Matchup is pretty favored for us because we kill pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
Then I faced 7 different grinders this weekend, by the way.
To be honest, I probably did too almost. I know I just played against, because who was it? Somebody put in the post that I made, they were like, you beat 2 of the top 15 people that, in the whole entire tournament. And I was like, I didn't even know that. And I know I played against Austin Collins and I beat him.
Yeah.
And then I played against Matt Hoey and lost to him. Some of the names out there. And then I played against a couple others, but I had no clue.
Yeah.
Because, though we talk about these guys each week, I don't remember names, and I don't watch a ton of content, like SCG content. So when I was playing against grinders, they're like, who'd you play? I was like, oh, so-and-so. Like, oh, they're a grinder. And I'm like, yeah, cool, I beat them. I don't know.
Mm.
So, yeah, same with you, man. You played against a lot of good players this weekend.
Round 3, I faced... it was round 4, I faced Ross Miriam and beat him. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I lost to Will Polium. I beat Aaron Barrich. I lost to Sam Black. I lost to Oliver Tomiko. I lost to Zan Syed, which is the one I was about to get to.
Yep.
He was also playing the Urza Outcome deck, or the Urza Ascendancy deck, and did the same exact thing to me that Tomiko did. I beat him game 1 and then got turn 1 and 2 Emery'd and Oko'd.
Yeah.
So,
look out for Oko, right?
The card's really good. Then really funny story. The round after that, so going into the tournament, Austin Collins made a post on Twitter asking for someone to let one of his friends borrow a burn deck. And I own both burn and mono red separate, other than a few cards. I was like a Sunbaked Canyon off. Yeah. And he wanted a couple sideboard cards I didn't have. So I was like, I'll bring this whole deck to you.
Yep. So you being a good guy.
Yeah, so I, handed the person the deck and, went on, didn't really think much about it. But then in round 14 of 15, I see my opponent's name, and I didn't really know the guy's name's Lance.
Yeah, Lance Nines.
Yeah, he was a really cool guy.
He's a grinder. He's amazing. He tops most. Day 2 is almost everything he goes to. And he's been doing really well lately. I used to trade with him back in the day, him and his crew.
Yeah, he said he knew you.
Yeah.
Because I mentioned I worked for you.
Yeah, and Lance is a great guy. I love that guy.
Yeah, he was super cool.
And yeah, I used to trade with him all the time, probably like 3-4 years ago, and now he's gotten really good. And it's so funny that you played against him. Let him borrow your deck.
I let him borrow the deck and then played against him.
And then got dumpstered on by your deck.
Yeah, he won the die roll in game 1, which is pretty much how the burn prowess matchup goes.
Absolutely.
I faced Jeremy Bertaroni, I think it is.
Bertaroni.
I'm pretty sure that's actually how it is.
Yeah, I believe it.
I'm like, sorry, Jeremy, if you end up listening to this. He was also really cool. I faced him on day 1, and I beat him in the burn versus prowess matchup. But then, Lance gave it to me in game 1, and then I ended up mulling to 5 in game 3. So that was unfortunate. And then in my last round, I faced someone who has top 8. I don't remember his name because he's top 8'd the past 2 tournaments with Tron.
Okay.
Like, he top 8'd with Tron during Hogak, and then he top 8'd the most recent Modern Open before this with Tron.
Okay.
And I got him game 1. Or no, he got me game 1 because he stabilized with a Karn by eating all my lands, and then played a Thrag Tusk.
Nice.
And then I got him game 2.
Okay.
And then game 3, he played Leyline of Sanctity.
Ooh.
And I got him down. I had double Blood Moon in play. Got him down to 2, but he got a Karn Liberated, exiled my 1 Swift Spear, and then used Karn the Great Creator to tutor up a Mycos and Vladis and lock me out.
Shit.
Yeah, so I lost to Tron with 2 Blood Moons in play. So that's fun.
Yeah. Well, let me read your list.
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
This list is sweet, man. So you got 2 Bedlam Revelers, 2 Blister Coil Weirds, 4 Monastery Swiftspear, 1 Seasoned Pyromancer, which is very beautiful. How are you liking this?
So yeah, this I actually wanted to like talk about my list as we did this.
Okay.
Well,
I'll let me finish out. So
yeah.
Soul Scour Mage, 4 of 14 snow-covered mountains. Don't you be registering regular mountains, because that's just not cool. They got to be snow-covered. 2 Fiery Islets, 2 Sunbaked Canyons for the split, 2 Gut Shot, 4 Lava Dart, ballin' ass card, 4 Lightning Bolt.
Great.
That card's okay. 4 Manamorphose, 3 Mutagenic Growth, the Spice, 4 Crash Through, 4 Lava Spike, 4 Light Up the Stage, and the sideboard being 2 Dragon's Claw, 2 Shrine of Burning Rage, which is so good.
Yeah.
2 Blood Moon, 3 Abrade, Kozilek. Kozilek's returns 3 Surgical Extractions, 1 Hazaret the Fervent, which, holy shit, you're playing a Hazaret?
Yeah, this is the best card in my sideboard.
Okay.
Just like MMDW36 is the best for following us right now.
Thank you, MMDW34, for the follow. We appreciate you. And the 1 of Shenanigans, which we both know that Shenanigans be a good card.
Yeah. So,
it's Monty from Thursdays. Monty!
Hey, what up, Monty?
Hey, thanks for the follow.
So, yeah, basically, let me go through some like things that I do that isn't common among mono red prowess players. Again, back to like my stories a little bit. My goal going into the tournament was to day 2 because I have not day 2'd an open yet, and I did that, and I am super happy to have finally done that. But it was a little bittersweet to lose 3 rounds in a row to not make cash. But you don't walk in expecting to cash a tournament. I made a pretty big Twitter post talking about the deck and had a lot of comments on it. And I went into detail about a lot of the cards, selections, and why I play what I do. So I'm going to give a small story about like my options as opposed to many other people's. But if you want to read a little bit more in detail, go check out my Twitter. I made it my pinned post. So I chose Blister Coil Weird over Kiln Fiend. I prefer it being a 1-drop. It's a lot more aggressive. It helps with your light up the stages on turn 2 a lot. And all in all, I would rather have a 1-drop threat as opposed to a 2-drop threat. The 1 of Seasoned Pyromancer is where a lot of people are playing a lot of Bedlam Revelers. I decided to do a split because I had it come up a lot where it was awkward where I'd have 2 Bedlam Revelers in my hand. So I'd have to discard 1. I wouldn't get the value I wanted out of the other one. So Anthony Nazaro, who got 19th with Jund, recommended why not try a Seasoned Pyromancer. And this card has been great ever since because it does pretty close to what Bedlam Reveler does, except you don't have to be empty-handed, but if you are, you just get to draw 2. But if you're discarding some cards, you get to go a little wide and make a couple elementals that can either chump block, push some damage, they don't get hit by engineered explosives, so the Seasoned Pyromancer was great. The split of Fiery Islet and Sunbaked Canyon are a concession to Wurza, because they play Pithing Needle, and the only thing they can really Pithing Needle in your deck is one of these 2 lands. The free spells are probably the biggest debate between myself and most prowess players. A lot of prowess players aren't on mutagenic growths or gut shots.
That was the one thing I wanted to ask you about. Sorry to interrupt. But
yeah, no.
That's the one thing I want to ask you about is like how are you going to keep mutagenic growth in, and how did it perform for you this weekend? Because
these cards are insane. Like
that's the only thing I had a question about is just how good it is.
So I've talked to a lot of people about this, and I truly believe that they are the correct options. Sure, they can be awkward sometimes. Like you sometimes want to kill a 2/2, but you have a gut shot. But the thing is there's so much outplay potential and so much reach that not having to pay mana for your spells in this deck give you because of the prowess mechanic.
Yeah. And the other option would be like Fork Bolt in the main.
You'd probably go with like Burst Lightning or Firebolt, but yeah.
Or a Splitsies or something of the
yeah. Well, the mutagenics are normally like I think it's normally like a couple. I can't remember. It's like Reckless Charge, I think. It like gives your creatures haste, which is fine, but this deck is actually pretty taxing on its mana.
Yeah.
So, and the thing with Gutshot has a lot more versatility than people think. They're like, oh, well, what do you do with Gutshot against Control? Or, what do you do with it here and there? And the floor of Gutshot is, it's essentially a 0 mana, at least 2 damage if you have a prowess creature in play.
Yeah.
The other things it can do is, I actually leave this card in against Control, because you can kill Snapcasters. It's a free. The biggest thing is it's basically a dark ritual for your light up the stage. There are many times I've kept hands that I go turn 1 gut shot, light up the stage, and it just feels great. You draw 2 extra cards, you replace these 2 cards, and
you could do that with mutagenic growth in hard times too if you wanted to.
Well, no, because mutagenic doesn't do damage to your opponent.
Oh yeah, it's light up the stage. I was thinking just casting the spell. Go on, I'm retarded.
Yeah. But yeah, so Gutshot actually like overperforms a lot. Mutagenic growth is probably the biggest blowout, and it also helps push lethal the fastest because at minimum it's a 0 mana lightning bolt in your deck typically. Because all of your creatures have prowess other than the Seasoned Pyromancer and its tokens. On top of that, all these spells are essentially Lotus Petals for your Bedlam Revelers, because I've had times where I've mutagenic growth at sorcery speed to play a Bedlam Reveler and draw 3 more cards. And it just feels great. Like, this deck really wants to put spells in its graveyard and really wants, like, mutagenic growth is very well positioned against Lightning Bolt. And I actually leave them in against Burn, because against Burn, what matters are your creatures. So they try to Bolt or Helix your guy. I will gladly pay 2 life and keep my creature alive for my next turn. And it also is basically Fog, because then they can't attack with their creatures. So, on top of that, I had probably one of the coolest plays I've had was against Tron in round 3. I was 2-0. I won game 1, went to sideboard. I talked about it. I really don't know how I want to sideboard against Tron. I sideboard differently like every time, just trying to find out what feels well.
Yeah.
But this time I left mutagenic growth in because I decided I didn't want artifact hate on the draw. And my turn 1 was Swift Spear attack. My opponent's turn 2, they played a map on 1 and then played a Tron land and passed. So they had to have a removal spell.
Spell Contortion.
Well, that's what they had, but it could have also been like Warping Wail.
Warping Wail also.
So on my turn, I play my Mountain. I cast Crash Through. My opponent tries to Spatial Contortion my Swift Spear. I mutagenic growth it. It lives through the Spatial Contortion. I hit my opponent for 8 and I cast Light Up the Stage.
Yep.
That was my turn 2.
That's nutty.
And if I didn't have mutagenic growth at that point and my Swift Spear died, I would have lost that game.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of situations that Phyrexian spells, especially a +2/+2 Phyrexian spell, can get you out of situations that not many people think about, or that it can surprise your opponent and push lethal. So I highly recommend playing these cards. I know a lot of people don't agree with me, but that's fine.
That's all right. You just gotta show them how good it is, right?
Yeah, I mean,
put your money where your mouth is.
Again, I will say I used to be on 4 mutagenics,
Mm-hmm.
and it's sometimes awkward, and I wanted an extra creature, so I did trim 1.
Nice.
But I would never go below 3.
Cool.
Crash Through Spike and Lava and Light Up are pretty uncuttable in this deck. These cards are great. I've pushed through damage through like Tarmogoyfs and Death Shadows because of this card.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Now, can you put a card like a Tarkus Command in this deck? And I guess that's something we can talk about, like without taking up too much time. But I know this deck is a mono red deck, right? But what happens when you do enter into another color, in that you have like a spell like that's 2 cost mana intensive, and also losing more life with Fetch Shocking? How does that work?
You can, but then you don't get to play as many of these. You don't. Mm-hmm. You lose a lot of your good spells. You don't get to play your free spells at that point.
Okay.
Because the rest of the deck is pretty core. You have to play less creatures because you can't really support Bedlam Reveler when your spell costs go higher.
Yeah.
Because you really I've seen people play it, and I understand why people splash the green. I don't think a Tarkus Command is really where you want to be with that.
Cool.
A lot of these spells just push as much damage, if not more.
So the answer for you is no.
I don't like it, but I know people who have tried it and said it's fine.
Cool.
So.
Excellent.
With the sideboard, Dragon's Claw is really good for the burn matchups. Burn's really popular right now.
Yeah.
The one thing I've talked about a lot with my deck is there's one slot I'm not 100% comfortable with, and it's kind of a meta call / your own personal feelings, is 3 Surgicals. I could see going down to 2 if you're not worried about graveyard decks. If you did cut one, I would either go up a Dragon's Claw or a Kozilek's Return. It would make sideboarding against Burn kind of awkward because right now the clean sideboarding is cut Spike, cut Gut Shot, bring in Dragon's Claws, Abrades, and Kozilek's Return. So you would have to figure out what other cards you'd want to cut against Burn, because both of these cards are very good for killing Core Firewalker, obviously gaining you life. But I lost to Dredge on Wednesday. That was my only loss this past week.
Yep.
And I was worried about Dredge this weekend. Maybe that was incorrect, but
no, I don't think so. I think it's like what we talk about. Don't sleep on. I mean, I probably would, if I wouldn't have lost that round, I probably would have easily topped 16. If I was a better player, I could have probably did better.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I didn't see Graveyard Hate in 2 days, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw a Rest in Peace on day 1, and I threw the Breach through it.
Mm-hmm.
I just pushed right. I was just like,
that's the other power of your deck, is you can
yes.
You don't always care about the graveyard.
Yes, I was just like, okay, cool, Graveyard Hate. I'm gonna through the Breach you. But yeah, I think it's incorrect. We've talked about this. It's very incorrect for you not to pack any Graveyard Hate. I think it's okay to go down to 2.
Mm-hmm.
I would not go down any less than 2.
Yeah, no, like I said, I wouldn't go below 2. It's just a meta call thing at that point.
Absolutely. Tell us about Hazoret, man. I'm excited.
We'll get there in a second.
Okay, go.
So Shrine is pretty common in this deck because you're a mono red deck, and it's the best card against control because once you get to 3 mana, you literally just never tap below 3 lands, and they either waste a spell trying to kill it and you dome them for however much, or they die to this card.
I love this card.
This card is great.
I want to play with it in my new burn list.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how well it would work with having 8 mono black cards, but
I don't know.
Blood Moon is both. It's really good, and like I said, I died against Tron with 2 in play. But if they were Alpine Moons or anything else, I still would have died. I just my opponent had Leyline of Sanctity, and I couldn't get through the last points of damage with my creatures.
I'm not sure Alpine Moon is better than Blood Moon in your deck. It could be, but
that's what a lot of lists play, and so my reasoning to play Blood Moon, if the only big mana decks in the format were Valakut and Tron, I would play Alpine Moon. But because Amulet Titan is a deck, and it's a pretty hard matchup, play Blood Moon, because if you ever play that against them, for the most part, you will be able to kill them before they can stabilize through it.
Absolutely, because you're just going to ping them, keep pinging them.
Yeah, and, well, you also just, you still get to cast other spells. Blood Moon itself is a prowess trigger.
Yep.
So, it's just hard for them to fight through a Blood Moon.
Yeah, absolutely.
3 Abrades, you need your Artifact Hate. A lot of people ask me why I'm on this over Smash. And it's nice to be able to kill creatures also.
This card's just so fucking good, man.
Yeah, I really like this card. Sure, the damage would be nice sometimes with Smash, but I don't think that's worth losing the versatility.
No, not to kill, because you need this as another card to kill what's his face Eidolon,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, like it's great in the burn matchup.
Yeah, you've got to kill Eidolon.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice.
The one of Kozilek's return, again, I could see going up to 2 copies for dealing with things like Core Firewalker or even just like other creature decks like
humans.
Yeah, you bring it in against like all of those.
Yeah.
The Devoted Druid deck it's good against.
Yeah. I think you're gonna find yourself wanting to go up another Kozilek's return at some point. Is my guess.
Yeah. Again, it would have to be at the
Meta.
sake of a surgical extraction, but we already talked about that. Hazaret is this card I did not get to use this weekend.
No.
The one matchup I had it was against Mardu Death Shadow, and every time he baubled me and seen it.
Oh, damn.
And so he just held a Path to Exile for it.
Shit.
But this card's overperformed for me in like the past weeks of me testing this deck. Nobody ever expects it. It literally is it is the best when attacking. It is the best thing when blocking because it has indestructible.
Yeah.
And it also just gives you really good reach with like that 2 damage for discarding extra like lands or creatures you don't care about.
This is the one card I think in Magic that I've never played and want to play. Like real
great.
bad.
I love Hazaret.
Hazaret the Fervent is sweet as fuck.
I love this card.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite Magic cards. And then lastly, the one of Shenanigans. This deck originally for the longest time only had 3 Abrades for its artifact hate. The list that I took that I started playing this deck from only had 3 Abrade. But I really felt like I wanted a 4th piece of artifact hate because of like even back during Hogak, the Urza decks were still popular. And I originally had a Pillage for the longest time because I didn't have the Blood Moons because I had extra graveyard hate because of Hogak.
Yep.
But once I got to add the Blood Moons in, I noticed the Pillage was still fine, but I didn't really need it as much. And I turned it into a Shenanigans because I just wanted like a heavy hitting artifact spell.
Yeah, and this thing, now a lot of people would probably tell you, oh, what are you so worried about artifacts for? Just kill them instead. But I think this is the time to worry about having Shenanigans. Or when people say, well, just use Smash the Smithereens in this spot. It's like what you talked about. It does the damage, but this is something that you can reoccur. You can pick this thing back up and use it again. Well,
it's super relevant in this deck because of prowess. It's like you're guaranteeing a prowess trigger when you dredge this.
Yeah, it has synergy with the deck. So it's just, I think this card is a really, really good one of in your sideboard.
Yeah. So that was our SCG Indy experience.
Hell yeah, we did it, buddy.
Yeah, and
crushed them.
We gotta keep an eye on the old Ilharg, so we better hop on over to Finance. See if that card's spiked yet.
It hasn't.
It hasn't. Not yet. Give it time.
Not yet. But hey, I'm gonna go this weekend and I'm gonna top 8 with this thing.
Heck yeah, dude.
Top 8 the Envy, and then you guys are gonna have. Then you're gonna see next week on Finance, Ilharg's up to $6 instead of $5.
Well, you know what card did spike though?
Oh yeah, Golos, you guys. Tireless Pilgrim. He's up 250%. So get your Goloses. Well, no, sorry. Richard said don't get your Goloses because you're not going to be able to play it after the new ban
unless you play Standard at your LGS and really want to spike that old FNM.
Yep. You missed out.
The Field of Dead is going to get a ban.
It has to.
They literally moved BNR up so that way another Pro Tour won't get ruined by this card. So.
Correct. Yep. So this is a really cool one that Richie Richie does follow LSV off of just Finance, but LSV, he has a lot of times.
I watch way too much Magic.
Yeah, you watch a lot of content, which is cool because that helps us in every fashion of what we're doing. Because even on the financial side, you could be like, hey, this card's crushing it.
Fucking savor the moments, Josh. Yeah. Don't pass them up.
Yep. Figure out how to get these cards in. So LSV this past weekend, you said he 5-0'd on Moto.
Yeah.
With a Savor the Moment deck. Now, Savor the Moment is it's just a two blue, 1 colorless sorcery that says take an extra turn after this one, skip the untap step of that turn. So it's like pseudo. You're able to do something, but then it has a negative turn.
Well, the reason this is so good in LSV's list, he's playing Fires of Invention to offset the not untapping.
Yeah, so Fires of Invention, where is it at here?
Right there.
So Fires of Invention is a 1 red, 3 colorless enchantment that says you can cast spells only during your turn, and you can cast no more than 2 spells each turn. You may cast spells with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of lands you control without paying their mana cost. So this
That was
fire,
a mouthful.
yeah. So this Fire of Inventions, it gets around being able to skip the next untap step. So it's basically a 3-drop, take an extra turn. Now this card went up 226% to $24.
From like what, probably like 10, I think.
Yeah. So
Like 7. Okay.
226% from $7.56. Yeah. So it's up there now. This is one of those ones that's very cool because you can go through an old binder that you had bulk rares in, right? Because this card used to be $3, $4, $5, and so most people don't know. They're just like, this is a shitty rare. I might play this in my commander deck, but it's not that good. That's where you're gonna find these Savor the Moments in old boxes. So it's also a Shadowmoor card. So those are the kind of things that you don't really
Maybe
think
we'll
about.
find some in bulk.
Oh yeah,
But we don't got much bulk left.
No, need to get some more.
So if you're listening, give us bulk. I need to have Josh have something to keep me doing.
That's right. So we got.
My God, this card is so expensive.
Number 3 for the week is Tarmogoyf. Now, this is one of those things where you're going to see a slow increase because of the printing of Ren and 6. Ren and 6 allowed Jund to not only be a viable deck again, but a good deck, right? It was a deck, but people just weren't on it. The true Jund players continued to play this deck even before Ren and 6.
According to this guy, it's because of Oko.
Yeah, so he's saying that Tarmogoyf is up because of Oko. I don't think so.
I haven't seen many Oko Tarmogoyf decks myself.
No, not a whole lot.
Seen like one in Teamer Delver from time to time. But...
Yeah, so... but yeah, don't worry about Goyf like shooting through the roof again, being $100 bill.
Oh yeah, Jake, give us that bulk.
Because it's not.
Well, we can get you Tron and Legacy pieces for bulk, that's for sure.
Yeah, baby. Give bulk, get
bulk,
Tron. Give bulk, get Tron over here.
We went for the 2 totally different formats.
That's right. So
this guy's an all-star on cheap pickups.
Yeah. So Nico Bolas, the Ravager, he's showing up all the time. I think this is like the 3rd or 4th time we talked about him on the podcast.
Maybe this guy really likes this card.
Maybe this is his pet card, but it's a Elder Dragon from M19. It's kind of a shitter.
I can't really see it going below $10 though.
I don't know. I think it will.
It's a Planeswalker.
Yeah, it's whatever. It's a piece of shit.
You're a piece of shit.
Thanks, Richard.
You're welcome.
So don't pick that up. Wait. Sarah the Benevolent. That thing is pretty cool. It's a Modern Horizon card, and it's down to $7.19. It's bottomed out.
I can see this one going up.
Yeah, it came out pre-releasing at like probably $45.
Yeah.
And now it's down to $7. So I could see this thing going back up. It's got the Sarah and the Planeswalker going for it. So it's got high casual appeal.
I think there's a chance it can find like a good modern shell too.
Yeah, absolutely. It could find something in the future. So I would say, yeah, if you guys are interested in good pickups, that's definitely one of them. And then you've got Keurig, son of Yawgmoth. Love saying that name.
I need to pick one of these up because I actually want to build a commander deck around him.
Keurig is he's one of the coolest, I think, most broken commanders that they've printed in years.
It's like he's almost like that Spike commander they printed in Unstable, except he's real.
Yes, this is real. He started out at around $30 because people were like, "Holy shit, this card's nutty," and now he is down to $15.20. So this is a weird one. Richie also thinks that this thing has a pretty high ceiling. And as do I, but
I can see this card being like a $50, $60 card eventually.
But I think you've got a lot of time. So if you don't have Keurig, and you're like, I'm gonna wait a little while to get him, you're okay. But don't wait too long because this was just in a commander set.
Give it maybe 6 months to a year. I think this card will be back to like 30.
Yeah, I think so too. So, Yeah, so those are the pickups and the non-pickups for this
Pick me
weekend.
up before you go.
And, okay, so I wanted to tell my last story, and I forgot, right? Before we go. So on my, I can't remember what round it was, but this was the most epic moment of the entire weekend for me.
Was it when you put a pig into play instead of an Emrakul to kill him and it got boom busted?
No, dead gone.
Dead gone, yeah.
No, that wasn't it. So, listen, I'm going to make some puns, right? I got to. So I'm in like day 2, and I think it's round 2. It's all coming back. I'm playing against Valakut. And I call it Valakut, but it's not called Valakut anymore.
Scapeshift.
I'm playing against Scapeshift. So that's how obscene I am.
I think it's actually called Titan Shift.
Titan Shift.
Yeah, you can call it whatever the fuck you want.
Sure.
Just don't call it late to dinner.
Yeah. So I'm playing against Titan Shift, and game 3, the game 1 and 2, this guy's like, oh my god, he's like, I cannot believe I'm playing against this deck. He's like, I didn't bring any graveyard hate. Like, he was telling me exactly what all my opponents were telling me. He's like, what the fuck, man? I didn't bring any graveyard hate. How the fuck am I going to beat you? You need to draw bad. And I'm like, I've been drawing fine all weekend because the deck is nuts. It's consistent. It's not me. I'm not drawing like super hot. It's just the deck is...
How many times did your opponents say, yeah, I'm drawing well?
Yeah, rubble. He drew so good against me. That probably quite a few times. I mean, Cathartic Reunion that card's not fair. It is not, because it just gets you back
Everybody
in the
says
game.
It's like the best card in Dredge, so...
Yeah. It's the best card in this deck, one of the best cards. So we go to game 3, and it was a barn burners, game 1 and 2, and I mulligan, and I mulligan again, and I'm at 5, and I'm like, holy fucking shit, I can't keep this 5. And I was like, I'm gonna lose this round. I was like, God, man, I wanted to start out good on day 2. I don't want to start. I don't want to be like.
You didn't want to beat me.
I don't want to like 0-3 day 2, right? Because I wanted to show people that I just didn't accidentally day 2. I wanted to do it well. And so I'm like, hey man, I'm going down to 4. I'm really sad right now. And he's like, dude, I hope you kill me on 4, because that would be the most epic story that I have from the weekend. And I'm like, yeah, right. That's not going to happen. And so I mulled a 4, and my opener is the adventure card. 2 of them, right? 1 land, and Mr. Pigpants. So I keep Ilharg, a land, and 2 of the adventure cards. So I draw my land for turn, and I pitch Ilharg into the graveyard. So now I've got 2 lands, and I've got Ilharg in the graveyard.
Okay.
Well, what else do I need to get through my combo? I need a Goryo's Vengeance, and I need a Emrakul. My next draw is Goryo's Vengeance. So I'm like, holy shit.
We're doing it.
We're getting there. All I need to do is top deck an Emrakul. So
the person from Louisville got 15th place with the deck.
Okay, cool.
I was curious how often place he was from you.
Yeah. So I draw. I'm like, okay, I've got one card here that I can draw that's gonna win me this game. I slowly grab the card off the top of my deck, I drag it across the table, and I lift it up, and it's fucking Emrakul. And so my opponent's tapped out, all right, because he's like, well, he just mulled the 4. He's all in. He's trying to kill me.
He's trying to get you.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, you're not gonna believe this, but I fucking drew it. And he's like, get the fuck out of here. And I Goryo's backed Ilharg, and I put Emrakul into play, and he's like, holy shit, man, that is the most epic shit that I've seen, and that started me out 2-0 on the weekend or 2-0 on day 2.
Nice.
Yeah, that was, I had to tell that story to the world, because
yeah, no, that's awesome, dude.
Holy shit.
It's like my mutagenicing a spatial contortion.
Oh yeah, that was the epic story for the weekend.
Yeah, that's my favorite play.
All right, well, you guys make sure that you follow us. We just had a follower. It was MMDW34. Thank you for following. You will be entered into our drawing that we do every month. and that is a box of Throne of Eldraine this month. Richie will be giving it away on October 31st. So if you guys, if you're watching in future on YouTube, you can come back to our Twitch. Our link is in the description below.
Is October 31st Halloween? Or is that
I don't know.
October 30th?
You can follow the description below, come back to Twitch. Also, if you guys want to follow us using Amazon Prime, you'll get a second entry into our drawing. And then if you guys want to help us out and support us on Patreon, you'll get a third entry into the drawing for the box of Throne of Eldraine. So that's how you win that. And we do giveaways every month, so follow us there. Also, please do us a favor, follow us on Twitter. We send out announcements all the time. We are at Mom's Basement MTG on Twitter. Also, you can find Richard at Richard T MTG.
I actually recently hit 380 followers.
Yes, he's getting some followers. That's what happens when you're doing things, right? You got your 5-0. You know, you did well this past weekend. So you know, you start getting a little clout, getting a little respect when you start doing good at Magic. It's a pretty good feeling.
Yeah,
I like it. So, all right, you guys, thank you for stopping by, SoundClouders. We appreciate you listening, and we will see all of you guys next Monday at 5:30 for our next podcast, and hopefully we'll be telling you about Richie winning the Invitational.
It's regionals next weekend.
Winning the regionals.
I'll try
Invitationals in the future.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you guys next Monday. Peace.
Bye.